Hello guys and welcome back to my channel Firewall again. Today we are going to walk through with troubleshooting scenarios which are most often you face during checkpoint firewall administration. If you want to become an expert in checkpoint firewall and checkpoint firewall troubleshooting, then please watch this video till the end and understand all the scenarios. All the scenarios listed here, those are derived from and faced from during a production environment. So without wasting time, let's get started. Scenario 1. Common troubleshooting scenario. Scenario 1. A user is complaining about latency and connectivity issue. They have been trying to ping the FTP server who has the IP address 192.168.11.10 but are getting any response. They are not getting any sort of response from that FTP server. Packet capture on the FTP server shows that the pings are not reaching to the destination. So this is the number one scenario, and the basic scenario we almost all faced or will be facing during our production environment. So let's understand how to troubleshoot this sort of scenarios. What are the debugs we're going to run to resolve this issue. Let's do the troubleshooting. Step 1, you have to do this debug from the checkpoint firewall gateways CLI from the expert mode. Step 1, do or initiate debug. The command is fw space ctl space debug 0. This will initiate your debug. Then assign memory buffer space to this debug. So you have to use the command fw space ctl space debug space buffer size. Give the buffer size 32.768. This is the buffer size you need to give at least, so that your whatever the output will have a enough memory space. Step 3, take a kernel debug. So this is the important step. Here you have to give the actual command where you will put your debug thing. So the command syntax is as you can see on a screen. It's fw space ctl space debug space minus or dash small m space fw space plus space con. Con is nothing but your refer a term for the connection. It's in a checkpoint gateway language. And drop space vm. Here we are referring the connection which are coming to your gateway from that machine. Then step 4, store debug output to a file. So you will create a file, and whatever the output generate out of this debug will be stored. So the syntax is on a screen. You can note down the syntax, but I will just repeat it. It's fw space ctl space kdebug space dash uppercase t space dash lowercase f, and you have to put that output to the file called your debug file output.dbg. After having this debug in a place, you have to reproduce your issue. So you have to basically try to ping from 192.168.11.10 to the FTP server, and once that is done, you have to stop the debug, and which is using the command written fw space ctl space debug space 0. And once that is done, you have to take the output file which you have stored, read that output file, and you will find a possible cause. What is the exact issue? Now let's add something more onto this scenario. Now the ping is now working, but the user has discovered another problem. When they connect from their Windows host to the FTP server, everything is slow, and sometimes they get disconnected. Taking a traffic capture on the FTP server shows that not all the packets are reaching. So this is the another things which is occurred. Now let's see how we can troubleshoot and proceed with the debug. So if you see the steps, every steps till the time you put the till the time you assign your buffer is the same. For example, step 1, you need to initialize your debug. Step 2, you need to assign the buffer space to the debug. Step 3 is important. Here is a slight modification what you need to do, where you have to give the debug command for the FTP protocol. So the syntax will be fw space ctl space debug space minus small m space fw plus connection con drop space vm space ftp. This is the important modification for the syntax here. Step 4, store the debug output file. As you can see on a screen, accordingly you need to store your file. You have to just copy paste this syntax. And step 5, you have to reproduce the issue. For example, you need to again try to ping to the 192.168.11.10 to FTP server, and then stop the debug using the command fw space ctl space debug space 0. And then step 7, you need to read those the generated file, and you will find the possible cause, what is happening with that packet. I'm sure this sort of debugs are very useful when you facing issue when the connections are not working well, or there is some slowness in a network for a particular source to the destination. So for such sort of scenarios, you have to run this debug for sure. So if you want to note down these things, please pause the screen, pause the video and take down the debug. Now let's understand the very important thing and very important scenarios with respect to VPNs. VPNs is everyday work what we have to do. It's like we have every time we used to face some sort of issues, and you need to work on to resolve those issues in terms of the VPNs. So let's understand the VPN scenarios now. When you say, this is the statement, when you ran to VPN issue and you find site-to-site VPN is not establishing, you need to run below debug to find out issues. Run all these commands in expert mode. For example, you have to log into the gateway from where you have a VPN configure, and you have to go to the expert mode, and whichever the upcoming commands I'm going to show you, those you have to run from the expert mode. There is one important utility which is called VPN2. The syntax is VPN space TU. If you are not sure if the VPN is causing the issue, you can use this utility and select, whenever you run this utility, then you will see number of options there. You have to select option number 7 to check the status of SA, which usually gives you if the SA is present and the VPN is working well. So use the option 7 here. And now let's go to see how the debug can run for the VPN issues. Please note, VPN issue, packet flow and packet having the issues on the packets can be seen using the tool called ikey view tool, and there is a file called ikey.elg file which you need to generate. Please note, I have a very important topic discussed during my VPN videos. So just go back to my video list and look into that VPN troubleshooting videos, I have explained in detail how the VPN troubleshooting done with respect to the IKEY tool and IKEY ELG file. I have shown each and every packet and their how they look and how you need to understand those things. For this, let's jump back to the VPN debug troubleshooting. So step number 1, move your existing IKEY.elg file to some other file name, give the some other file name, or move to the some other location. Usually what I do, I usually create a backup file, whichever the IKEY ELG file I have existingly with my system. I usually create one more backup file for that, and the syntax is for that is as shown below. From the export mode, you have to run below command. So command is mv for the move, and your file IKEY.elg, and give the space and the new file name where all the data will transfer, IKEY.elg.bak. bak is for the backup only. Then step number 2, start your VPN debug. So VPN debug can be started using the command like VPN debug trunk, or you can use the command I have shown. Both will work. So VPN debug IKEY on is the command which we need to run to start the VPN debug. Once you started your VPN debug, then you have to run or reproduce the VPN issue. I mean, you have to replicate the issue. So the issue can be replicated in a variety of ways, but the simple way what we do, you have to just ping from your VPN site, one VPN site system which is configured in between the in a VPNs. So from the whichever the encryption traffic you have, from there you have to just ping from one site to the another site VPN machine. For example, you have a say gateway A and gateway B, and you have a VPN established between them. So under a gateway A, you have defined some interesting traffic or encryption domain, say 1, 2, 3, those are the machine name. And under the gateway B, if the peer side, they also have some interesting traffic defined, say 1, 2, 3, or say 4, 5, 6. So for example, from 1 you have to start a ping to say any IP address from 4, 5, 6 machine, and that way you will reproduce the issue. Once that is done, you have to stop the VPN debug, and to stop the VPN debug you have to use the command VPN debug off. Please note the all letters should be in a lowercase, so I can see the V is look like a capital over here, but don't use that. Use VPN debug off all at a lowercase. Okay, and then you have to take the IKEY file. The IKEY file will generate it, and if you want to make sure that file is generated, you have to use the below command which I have shown you, which is ls space dash la $ space $8wdr /log/ IKEY.elg. And once that file is generated, you have to take that file from your gateway. Use WinSCP or any FTP or SFTP tool to get the file from your gateway to the IKEY tool. So you have to open IKEY tool, and from there you have to open this IKEY.elg file, and you will see series of the packets, which packet is failed or not. Based on that you have to do the observations, right? Now let's see most common causes which have which you give with the VPN failed issue or a VPN is not coming up issue. So two most common cause for the site-to-site VPN issues are below. These are the most general causes. Mostly whenever we found that the VPN is not coming up, firstly we do check of these two issues, and then the rest of the packets. I have explained the rest of the packet as well, but let's start with the most common. So number 1 is phase 1 main mode packet number 5. It gives at the, if you open that packet number 5, there is field called invalid ID. No, I'm so sorry. There is a field called ID Once you click that ID field in a packet 5, and if you verify the information, for example, what are the details written over there, you will see there is a something called you will see something over there as an invalid ID. So that invalid ID is referring for your IP address, so the IP address of your gateway. So if you are trying to establish a communication between your source gateway to the peer gateway, so I mean the one side gateway and another side gateway, if you go to the ID field 1, you will see your first gateway's IP address. So this IP address is the external IP address and is the external interface IP address. Usually sometimes what happens, you know, due to rush or some other reason, we put some wrong IP address, and for that we will see this invalid ID errors. This is also important. If you check the ID field 2, this will give you the response packet, or I mean this will give you not the response packet, this will give you the IP address of your peer side gateway's external interface IP address, which you have used as a tunnel configuration. So if there is some issues on that IP address, if you not put it the peer gateway's IP address correctly, then it will show you this invalid ID issue. And in a phase 2 quick mode also we see this invalid ID thing. So if you go to the phase 2 packet 1 and over there, if you go to the ID field, here also you will see sometimes invalid ID field, but here this ID field refers in a different sense. So this ID field is something refers to the wrong subnet which is being negotiated between your side. We call it as a checkpoint VPN encryption domains, or in other word it's interesting traffic. So if you have a defined encryption domain for example for your side 10.0.0.0 and from other side say 192.168.1.0 for example, like that, and that is that you have to define from your gateway plus the other side gateway. But if you define something else, or maybe some classic example, you know, some sort of super netting is happening on that gateway, this packet 2 of a quick mode, it gives you these details like invalid. I think I mentioned the packet 1 of the quick mode at the initial. It's not a packet 1, it's a packet 2 of the quick mode. So over here you will see that the encryption domains, whichever, you know, you are sending from your side and receiving from the other side, those are matching or not. If those are not matching, obviously the VPN tunnel will not form. So these two, you know, common issues what we face during the I mean these two common issues we have, or during VPN site establishment we used to get. All right, now let's see the other packet details. So whenever you see, when you open that IKey view tool, and you will see packet 1 and 2 from the main mode. So this is what happened if that issue, the packet is showing like a fail. So here you have to check responders lifetime problems, like a life duration set for phase 1. Again you have to check no proposal chosen. I mean the points I have mentioned, those you will see on that IKey tool. Okay, for example, you will see responder lifetime problem. Over there you will see life duration set for the phase 1, whatever it is in a, you know, in a seconds or a minute, whatever it is. If that is not matching, you will see your packet 1 and 2, those are getting failed. You will also see there I mean during the, you know, log capture, when you capture the logs of your VPNs in a logs from the log server, On the packet capture, sorry, on a log capture, you will see specific errors like no proposal chosen, or invalid cookie, something like that, or invalid exchange type, like that. So when you see like no proposal chosen, so it's something with your encryption strength mismatch. So whatever the encryption algorithms you have defined, for example SHA, AES, or whatever it is, your integrity algorithms like MD5, everything, whatever you have designed, if it's not matching, you will get this thing like no proposal chosen, right? Whenever you will see this invalid exchange type, so you have to think about like aggressive mode, which is a part of your phase quick main mode. You can define your main mode in a aggressive aging mode as well. So if you have errors showing that invalid exchange type, it's like aggressive mode is turned on for one of the peer, but the other peer is not enable the aggressive aging, right? So this is what you need to consider. If you see the invalid exchange type, if you see invalid cookies, so center gateway has a new object change. For example, you are facing, you have the site to site VPN between your one gateway to the rest of the gateway, and you have changed something in the encryption domain of your center gateway. That time you will see this invalid cookie error. So if you see this error, you have to think, okay, something has changed with the center gateway, and you have to consider that managed gateway on edge is mismatching the VPN request to the old object. The solution is as simple as that. Whatever you have created as a new object, you have to delete the object. Now let's see packet 3 and packet 4. If you, most of the time you won't be able to see the packet 3 and 4 showing you as a failed, but usually this is a weirdness sometimes if you've seen. So you have to think below certificate unavailable. So maybe you will see this error in a log. When I run into this sort of issues with respect to the firewall, the edge firewalls or the edge firewall certificates, if those are got expired, if there is some issue with the certificate things, and when I renewed such sort of certificate, though this sort of packet 3 and packet 4 showing error got resolved. There was a time where I had a wrong gateway as peer, and that was when the other gateway answers some encryption setting were probably different. So this is a statement of one of my classic example I have faced during my working scenarios with the VPNs. So there was a peer VPN gateway which I have selected the wrong VPN peer gateway, and somehow the communication got started, but the encryption setting was mismatched because of wrong gateway. I was seeing the packet 3 and 4 as an issue. Now let's see the packet 5 and 6 of main mode. So I think we already discussed on initially invalid ID. So it's the same thing. If there is some issues with your IP addresses bit of your both the gateways mismatching, you will see this. Plus if you see the packet 5 is failed, so these are the other reasons. One is your authentication failed, like your pre-shared key is one of the reason. Then payload malfunction, say for example you have selected a wrong pre-secret key. Maybe your invalid certificate is coming up into the picture, certificate is invalid, or your CRL cannot be retrieved from the management server, or maybe the certificate is unavailable, your certificate is no longer exist on the member sending these messages. That may be the cause. Or if the packet 6, which is coming responder packet from the peer gateway, if that is showing failed, so obviously it's with respect to the lifetime problem. so you have to check what the lifetime you have given there. So this is all about the main mode. Now let's see the quick mode. So the quick mode we have already seen, like the commonly if you have a mismatch in the encryption domain, you will get the issue. But if again you have some other setting which is also mismatching, so when you do this log, I mean you will see the packets in a logs log server, and you will see phase 2 is giving you no proposal chosen sort of error. So usually that is also with respect to your subnet mismatch, and maybe can be your lifetime or encryption strength which you have given for the phase 2. Obviously we all know the phase 2 we also have to give the different encryption algorithms and all those things. So if those are mismatching, you will see this error. So the guys, this is all about the VPNs. Now let's see the error occurs during the policy installation. First, on the management server, and before going on to that, let's understand the errors which we get during the policy installations. So you know, most of the time we have seen when you try to install the policy, you will face the error, or you will get the errors during the policy installation. There are, you know, too many errors scenarios we may see during the policy installation. There may be the, you know, variety of the reason for that, but I have come up with, you know, few important steps where you can, you know, do this common debug for the policy installation thing, policy installation error, and you will come to know why that causing that issue. Okay, so let's jump into that. So the solution is, first on the management server, get the policy name and the name of the target firewall or cluster object from the dashboard. So you have to take the firewall name and the policy package which you are going to install, and then log out from your management server and run this below command from the management server itself. So this command basically fetch the policy from your management server to the gateway. So the syntax is fwm space, yeah, you have to run this command from the expert mode of your management server. So the syntax is fwm space load space -d, the policy name, the policy package name which we are installing, the target is your gateway where the policy is getting installing, and file name where you have to have this detail to be logged in. So this is the syntax. So you will see an error if the management server throwing error here only. If not, the debug policy on the firewall from the enforcement module will give you the details. So below is the actual command you need to run with respect to your gateway name and everything, and this will pull it will pull from the policy in the firewall database, right? So the syntax is fw space -d fetch local -d, then your $fwdar /state /_tmp fw1 and the output thing. So the initial command which we discussed was to take the policy from the management server, which is fwm load, and this is actually the fetching your local policy from your management server. So you can also try to fetch from the management server, but most of the time that will never help. So you have this command is very important. You can run this command as well. So most of the time the atomic errors which we usually get during the policy compilations, they usually happen two reasons. Let's see those reasons. Number one, the gateway is heavily overloaded and there were not enough resources, example like a memory or a CPU, to complete the atomic load process. A typical symptom is that it will take several tries to successfully load a policy to a gateway, or that the policy load succeeds more often right after the gateway reboot. Number two, the compile policy managed to pass verification compilation on the SMS security management server, and it to probably should have not have, as the compiled policy contain an errors that prevents it from being successfully loaded into the gateway kernel. The gateway will perform lots of extra sanity checks on the policy during the atomic load process, as pushing a corrupt policy into the kernels is likely to crash or significantly impair the gateway. The symptoms here is that a policy push to a gateway will fail 100% of the time, usually after making some significant changes. So if you performed all the changes and whatever the steps I have just mentioned before, if that is also done and you are not able to get rid of the issue, so you can run the policy kernel debugs. There are a lot of SKs available how to you run the policy kernel debugs, and still if it's not give you some right answer, you have to log in, take it to the checkpoint and get help from the tag. Now let's see the firewall logging issues. What are the issues we get during the firewall login and how we can rectify. So most of the time when you see your firewall is not sending logs to the management server, or management server is not receiving the logs, some of the another reason is happening and you are not seeing the logs. So these are the steps, these are the things you need to consider. Number one, check if the firewall login is locally going to the $fwdir/log and running. So you have to see your logs are listing into this directory log. There are a lot of syslog messages also there, like message 1, message 2, messages files, and what are the logs we are producing, is those are going to this log directory and everything is running there. You have to check that, and to check that, it's simply you have to run this ls space dash L is a small case space fw.log. So you will see that fw.log file is getting generated, and the logs inside that are processing or producing. If you want to check what is inside that fw.log file, you have to just give the command like less space fw.log, and you will see what is happening. You have to check several times over the course of the minute and see if the file size is increasing or not. This is the first step what you have to do for the firewall logging issue. If it's logging locally, that means at least the your firewall is logging the logs and it's not getting sent maybe to the management server. So second step is like if it is logging locally, then do the cp stop, or you have to rename that all your fw.log files and then do the cp start, then to force it to try to log back to the management server again. And once that is done, you have to run the command fw.log switch. So log will switch. If that also doesn't work and you are seeing that fw.log is growing, it may be that there is a reason that isn't logging to the management. Check for the old log that says the log repository quota has been exceeded, or no file could be deleted, sort of things. If there is a problem like that, remedy the same solution and go back to the step 2. So if you see the repository quota has been exceeded, when you go to your log messages which are present over there, so over there if you see repository quota has exceeded or something like that, again you have to do the steps 2 what I have just explained. More on troubleshooting on the log issue. So these are the steps. Please note down these steps. This is very important. If the logs are not growing, check for the firewall attempting to the logs. So you have to run the FW monitor over the port, destination port 257. 257 is referred for the logs, FWD processes. So you have to run this FWD monitor and see if the logs are getting generated. Let it run for at least a minute, this command. If it's taking management, then you have to check your SIG is also there, SIG status is communicating. Then you have to check get the FWD monitor, take your FW monitor file which you have just generated from your FW monitor command and run into this Wireshark and follow the TCP stream. So it's very simple. You have to just get that FW monitor file, right click onto that, and on the sync packet you have to select the TCP stream and it will show you all those packets. Then scroll to the right where you will see the certificate and possible the word deny. If this is the case, the smart center is rejecting the firewall certificates. To fix this, install database to the log server and management server so the management server can update itself to the trust the firewall certificates. Next would be the the reboot of the firewall. This will force a fresh cert exchange between the firewall and the management server, and maybe till here the issue will fix. And if it's still not fixed, then there is a time you have to open a ticket with a tag and proceed. There is a old ways like steps. I have just mentioned that from 12 onwards. Check your $awdr/con/master file on the firewall and add the IP to the smart center. Master file is helpful on the old appliances like 1100s to change which IP they are sending out logs. Check master file order to apply to make sure that is done right. Otherwise, trying to resetting the SIG will fix the issue. Could also be the likelihood the things which we can do, like debug your FWD on a firewall and FWM on the management server. Check your disk spaces, reboot the management server, create a dummy log server, define a firewall log to it, push the policy, change it back to the management server and push again. Delete the dummy log server, check time. So guys, I have tried to explain too many scenarios during my what I have faced during my overall 10 years of experience with the Checkpoint firewall. So if you like my video, please subscribe my channel and press bell icon, so whatever the latest video I am uploading, it will come to you. If you like this video, again I'm saying subscribe it, and thanks for watching this video. Have a good day ahead. Bye bye.